You are the wisest person I know.
Me? My God. I look around me and I think I know nothing. I do remember, though, that once long ago in Persia,
Persia?
boom, boom, we met a wise man in the bazaar. And he was a professional, and he used to sell his wisdom to anyone willing to pay. His specialty for tourists was a maxim engraved on the head of a pin.
Oh.
The wisest, he said, the truest, the most instructive words for all men and women at all time. So Frederick bought me one. And back at the hotel, I peered through a magnifying glass to read the words. And they were, "And this too shall pass away." If you remember that, you cannot help but live a life fully.
It's true. I haven't really lived. I've died a few times.
Excuse me, what was that?
Died 17 times. Once, I shot myself in the face with a pop gun and a blood pellet.
Oh, that's very ingenious. Tell me about them.
Well, it's a question of timing and having the right equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Plenty of patience.
Mm.
Are you sure you want to know
Yeah,
about
I
this?
want to hear everything about you. You know that.
Okay. Well, the first time wasn't even planned. This is when I was at boarding school.
Mm-hmm.
They were putting together the school's centennial celebration.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd bought all these fireworks and food and stuff and stored it in this little room in the west wing right below the chemistry lab.
Uh-oh.
So it was my job that day to clean up the chemistry lab. And naturally, I performed some experiments.
Of course.
It was all very scientific. I measured the amounts. So, well, suddenly amongst my experiments, there was this big fizzing sound, and all of a sudden, this white porridgey stuff starts erupting out of the beaker and flooding along the table and into the floor. So it was making quite a mess. I decided I would grab the hose and kind of hose it into the sink. So I turn on the water and pow!
Oh, my God.
Massive explosion. Singed my hair, blew out the floor, knocked me down. Smoke everywhere. I get up, and there's these things flying through the air. It's the fireworks from down below. So we have these rockets and pinwheels, and everything's on fire now. It's an inferno. I'm just standing there, stunned, getting pelted by what it turns out is popcorn for tomorrow's festivities. I couldn't get out. There was flames everywhere. The door was blocked. So I remembered that there was a laundry chute. So I turned around and
Just live. Oh, God. I'm so smart.
Down to the basement. Got out. Exit the building, and it's pandemonium. People running everywhere, alarms. The whole top floor of the building is on fire. So I decided to go home. And I get there, and my mother is throwing a huge party. So I go in the back door, creep up to my room. Nobody sees. A little while later, there's a ring at the doorbell. It's the police. I creep over banister to see what they say. And they tell my mother and everyone present that I have been killed in a fire at the school. Well, everyone gets real quiet. I leaned right over to see if I could see my mother's face, and I couldn't. She began to sway. She put one hand to her forehead. With the other, she groped about as though for support. 2 men rushed to her side. And with a long, low sigh, "Oh!" she collapsed into their arms. I decided then that I enjoyed being dead.
I understand. I do. A lot of people enjoy being dead, but they're not really dead. They're just backing away from life. They're players. They're players. But they sit on the bench. The game goes on before them. At any moment, they could join in. They could join in. They could reach out. They could take a chance. They could get hurt, maybe. So you do as well as you can. You go for it. You go, team. You go. You give me an L.
L.
L. You give me an I.
I.
You give me a V.
V.
You give me an E.
E.
And what do you got?
Live.
Yes, live. Otherwise, you know what? You got nothing to say in the locker room. Yup. You know what we're going to do? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to teach you to waltz. Da-da-dum, 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 bum, 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 bum. Yes.
I like you, Maud.
Oh, Harold. I love you.
Mighty fine.